All right. Hello, everyone. I'm an named Patrick. I currently reside in the Carolina region, just outside of Charleston. I am from in the SEZF. Let's see. I see we got Adam here. We got Jay. We got Maud, Susan. Who do we have in the room? Anybody?
Jimmy's here.
Lucy.
That guy.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I know Maud, I know Jay, I know Adam, and I know they know about the BMLT. Does everybody else here know about the BMLT?
Yes.
All right. Well, there'll be some redundancy here. But yeah, so this is a workshop geared towards the BMLT, and yeah. I'm an admin named Patrick, Somerville, South Carolina. And let's see. You know what? Can everybody just introduce themselves? It's a small crowd. If you're on Zoom, feel free to just unmute, or actually, I guess if you can't, maybe you can't. Can you? Do I have power to unmute people?
Yes, you can. They can't unmute themselves.
Okay. We're a nonverbal crowd. It's okay. Let me see.
No, it was a security setting.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure I can see how to unmute people. Sorry. All right, cool. All right. What is the BMLT? The BMLT is a piece of software that was developed to store meeting information. It was written by addicts for addicts. All of the code was written by members of NA. It was developed out of the need to have a single source of truth for meeting information. For instance, I used to be a part of the New England region. And in the New England region, we had our printed meeting schedules. We had our website with meeting information on it. We had our phone line with meeting information on it. And all of that information all had separate, the meeting information in it had to all be created separately and maintained. And it was a lot of work, especially at one time our phone line had all our meeting information on it. So it was all recorded. So the minute someone was done adding the information, you know, it was out of date. And so this was a problem. It was painstaking to update the meeting lists. And I was sent to actually the Florida Regional Service Symposium where I learned about the BMLT. And when I came back to the New England region, I ended up implementing it. Out of that implementation, we were able to store all our meeting information in one server, and our website, our phone line, and our printed meeting schedule got all of its information fed from one place. So you update your meeting information in one place and it's updated everywhere. I'm sure this map is outdated. I didn't update it. I kind of cobbled the slide deck together from many other slide decks. But it's used all over the world. Yeah, within just the past couple of years, South America has really grown. Only a few years ago, there was pretty much none of South America was using it. Yeah, all of India, Australia, all over Europe, not the UK, but all over Europe. And yeah, and almost pretty much most of the US is using it too. There's some pockets in the Northwest. There's a couple other tiny pockets of the US, but mainly the Northwest. Canada has their own server they're using. I covered this already pretty much. Why was the BMLT created? So I'm going to move on here. Yeah, created out of a issue with no standard way and no single source of truth to store meeting information. Do I need tech skills? Well, depending on what you're doing, but not necessarily. If you just are a trusted servant that's updating meeting information, if you can log into your email account, if you can use a word processor or anything, then you can be taught how to update meetings in the BMLT. You pretty much, a lot of regions or what they do is they'll dedicate like a single trusted servant to an area or to a region and have them be the one who updates the meeting information. So groups will go to their area and give their meeting updates, and then someone, either sometimes from PR, sometimes just from whatever, and they update the meeting information. Yeah, this is the Southeastern Zonal Forum server. It's used by all regions in the zone, and there's over 3,600 meetings in it. I think Bermuda is probably right around here. I think they're on it too. Let's see. There's plenty of different ways to get help if you want to learn more about the BMLT and using it. The website, BMLT.app. The Facebook group is great. It's a great place in general just to get information on IT issues or solutions within NA. I think there's a separate IT solutions group too, but the BMLT group is great. I tell people to go to it all the time whenever they have technical issues in NA, not just BMLT related. You can always email help@bmlt.app. That goes to a handful of people. And then we have a Slack group that's primarily geared towards technical people and updating the plugins in the server and coding stuff. And so I'm going to give a little demo. I think I'm going to use the BMLT SCZF BMLT. And let me see. Anybody have any questions so far?
Yes, is the Southeast Zonal Forum BMLT updated to the latest version of the root server?
Yes, it is. Yep. And in fact, the Southeastern Zonal Forum is almost 100% of the time the first to update, because one of the core maintainers of the root server live in the Southeastern Zonal Forum. So.
Okay. The reason I asked that is later on, the YAP reporting tool is not reporting the information correctly, and when our person reached out to try to get help with that, they were told that our root server needed to upgrade to the latest root server.
All right. Well, hold on to that, and I can get back to you when we get towards the end there.
All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
I might be asking this too early, but so is there like an API that I could call if I were like developing an app or something like that?
Yes, there is an API. And the best way to get involved there is maybe, let me see. Oh, wait, can you see, are you still seeing my slide deck, or are you seeing my web browser?
Browser.
All right, so yeah, the best way there is probably just to first initially email help@bmlt.app. All our code is listed on GitHub publicly. It's GitHub /BMLT-enabled, but if you want to learn more about the API and such, yeah, you can start with just emailing us, and we can get you in the right direction of getting the information you need.
Awesome, thank you.
But yeah, as far as BMLT, I mean, I think we have over 80 repositories of various implementations of things. So there's plenty of examples out there of interacting with the API. So, yep, you guys can see my browser now.
Yes.
I have just logged in here. and I can go to the meeting editor here. And depending on what kind of login you have and what it will show what service bodies you have. And I am in the South Coastal area, so I can go to the South Coastal area. I can search for meetings, and then this is my home group here, all kidding aside. You'll see some of them are yellow. Those are unpublished meetings. They could be just temporarily closed. And so they were unpublished, so they wouldn't view on the website. I'm not sure the reasons, but that's probably the reason. So I can go to my home group here, and you'll see it's just standard. You enter in your meeting name, the weekday, the time, duration. This committee code, you don't really need to pay attention to. It gets inputted automatically on an update with NAS. But you select your service body, and then you, this is somewhat, I don't even know if this has been covered in a workshop yet, but there's a venue type. So you can select whether it's an in-person meeting or virtual meeting or a hybrid meeting. There's also virtual temporarily replacing an in-person, or a hybrid meeting. So if it's in person, you would enter in your location information. And if it's hybrid or virtual, then you'd enter in your virtual meeting link, virtual meeting edition information. If there was a dial-in number, you could put that there. And then pick your formats. Open discussion literature meeting. We we read through a whole piece of literature, and when we're done, we move on to another piece. Other, I have no idea who Taggart is, but it's been my home group for at least 4 years, and I never met Taggart. But his information is there, so take note. And then there's just a little change log. It shows you when the last time the meeting was updated and a little bit of information. So if I want to make a change, I would hit save meetings, and then it would geolocate. It would automatically put in your longitude and latitude, which is useful for the different plugins that display the meeting information. If I wanted to create a new meeting, I could just go create new meeting and put all my details and hit save. And that's pretty much all you really need to know about the meeting editor and such. There's administration stuff, like if I logged in with a different login, I could create users and different service bodies and such, but I'm not really going to go into that unless you want me to. I don't really think I need to though. So yeah, that's the basics of the BMLT server there, of just editing meetings. And that was the demo. So yeah, then we get to website meeting lists. So, and once you have all these meetings, and then in the zonal server, well, then individual areas or the zone or regions can then pull from that meeting information and display it on their website. We usually recommend using WordPress. It's the easiest way to integrate with BMLT and viewing, generating PDFs and meeting lists on your website. But it can be used pretty much with any sort of website. There may be additional costs involved depending on Squarespace, but so we generally recommend WordPress. And so I can show a quick demo there. So this is the Southeastern Zonal Forum site, and I can go to Meeting Finder. It's going to ask for my location, and then it's going to pull up probably, I think, about 50 meetings within my location. And I can zoom in. I could click a meeting, find more information about that. And then I can see, oh, look, there's my home group. Yeah, if it's virtual, I won't have a map link or anything. It'll just have your Zoom link or whatever the link may be. It's showing me also roughly the distance away that the meeting is from my current location as well. Which just means about 20 miles away. And then if I wanted, I could do like a text search. So this is actually, I hope it is, we'll find out. This is plugged into all of the BMLT servers that we know about. So I could enter in my hometown zip code, which is Edgartown on the beautiful island of Martha's Vineyard. And look, this is my first home group. It's where it got clean. Candlelight meeting, beautiful location, right on the water there. You can see sailboats often going by as you're sitting in the awkward silence of the candlelight. But yeah, so that's an example of using displaying your meetings on the website. NOS export. I'll briefly cover this as well. So we have all the meetings in our root server. Now, NA also keeps track of meeting information on na.org. So how do we get our information from the root server to be updated with NOS? Well, traditionally, what we do is in the root server, you can export a spreadsheet that contains all the meeting information in a format that NOS is happy about receiving. So about once a month or once every couple months, we send that information to NOS, and then someone from NOS or the database administrator will go through that spreadsheet and do a diff against what they have and update that information. In recent time, they've been proactively doing this on their own and pulling the information. And I know there's some stuff in the works where you won't even have to do this and they'll just do it. It'll just happen automatically. But for now, it's something you should know about. Yeah. So that's how NOS gets your data. In my old region, I know I just emailed NOS and I was like, hey, just take our information occasionally and thank you. And that's what they do. Yep, sure.
So if the meeting information on NOS is not consistent with what's in the root server, what should be the steps taken to resolve that?
Well, yes, this is always a topic that comes up, and I'm going to let Adam handle it.
Say again?
No, never mind. I was going to let Adam answer the question, but he didn't pipe in. So it's tough because with the pandemic and everything, there's less staff at NOS, so the information isn't getting updated as fast as possible. And ideally, people wouldn't use na.org to find meetings, but you can't really say that about a newcomer because a newcomer, they think NA, they Google NA, they go to na.org. That's how they're going to find a meeting. Hopefully, after they come, you're like, hey, go to our region, go to our area site. This is all our meeting information, because the accurate information is always going to be closest to the source of truth, and NOS is not the source of truth. Your local group or area or region is where you're going to have the most up-to-date information. So if it's out of date, if you have a meeting, it's been out of date for a while, like usually within a month or two, the information should be accurate. If it's still not accurate, then you can email fsteam@na.org, fellowship services team@na.org, and say, hey, this meeting's, we have this meeting on our server and it's out of date. Could you please update it? And that's my current recommended solution, is to just email fellowship services and let them know. What you should probably do first though, is reach out to your root server administrator and let them know and ask them, hey, when's the last time we've done a NOS export? Do you know when the last time that we've reconciled the data is? And if they say we just did it or something, and it's still wrong, well then, yeah, then just reach out to fellowship services.
Okay, and then a follow-up question then. So, this is Kelly, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I only knew by your voice. I can't see you.
So, we formed a new area last year, Madison County area of NA in Alabama, Northwest Florida region. It's a virtual area without a physical address. We forgot that I think we need to register with World Service as an area service body because none of our meetings are being the Madison County area doesn't show up under the region in NAS database. So was that an error on our part? And is that why maybe when we export the root server to NAS, because the Madison County area is listed as an area in the root server, but it doesn't show up on the NAS side?
How long has this been the case?
A year.
A year. So, yeah, I would reach out. I'd reach out to Jonathan.
Okay.
But for
I don't know if it was a problem.
yeah, no, it is probably, the problem is exactly probably what you're saying is it needs to be registered as, it should have happened automatically, but with like this new changes in it being a virtual area, like NAS is generating virtual area world ID codes. Like every region has a world ID as well as meetings, and every zone, every metro, they all have unique codes. And now online meetings are getting unique codes that usually start with ONL. And yeah, it could be that, yeah, it needs to be registered specifically and something's, yeah, not right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, if you reach out to Jonathan, he'll be able to figure that out. Oh, all right. Did someone else have something?
Yes, yes, of course. The BMLT database is the same. It's the same database we use with the helpline.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So once a group has been updated in the BMLT, then how long does it take before it's
Well,
shown on the help?
Well, it should be instant, but sometimes servers like store information for a while, and depending on how things are configured, I mean, I would think at most a day, but it should be like instant. It should be as soon as you hit save, you know, it should be updated.
There have been times when I've noticed that from the it would text you, the helpline would text you out some meetings that haven't, that it was updated on the BMT, but it wasn't when it came out on the text. Through text, it wasn't updated. It's still the same information.
Another thing that could happen too is, yeah, but it would, it potentially could be like 6 hours, but it shouldn't be any more than that, or maybe 8 hours, because if the phone line's configured to, I haven't gotten to this part yet, but there's a root server aggregator called Tomato, and that is what holds every single meeting and every root server. And a lot of times people point their meeting search information at that. However, that's only updated a couple times a day. So if you're using that, it won't reflect instantly when you save a meeting in the root server. It could be, I don't know, I guess it could be up to 12 hours in that case. But if it's not updated after 12 hours, then it's yeah, you just have to look into it. It could be something funky with the configuration or something. Mod, did you have something?
Yes, hey, I'm an addict named Maud. Whoever's been writing the questions for me, thank you, because we can't always hear. But anyway, and I don't know if this is the right place, Patrick, but in the BMLT server, there are duplicates in the format. So you may have a closed meeting. In one place it says C, another place it says CL. And the same time you've got no children, and that's another C. There's duplicates. And then why, when you have a virtual meeting, so I've got a couple of questions here. Why, when you have a virtual meeting, does it show the city and state? Sometimes it even used to ask for the address. So that became confusing.
So for your first question, I'm guessing this is in relation to the SCCF server.
Mhm.
The SCCF server was cobbled together over the course of many years. It started as one server and then a bunch of servers hopped on, and there was no way to unify to join together many servers. So we wrote a tool to do that, and it didn't rectify multiple formats. Since then, actually recently, we actually removed a bunch of duplicates from the SCCF server. The only duplicates that are there now weren't unique enough for us to make it that we felt we're comfortable making a decision on our own to move. And maybe at some point at a SCCF forum meeting, we can bring it up. But it is a lot better than it was even a year ago. But that's the reason. It's because it didn't start as one server. It actually, I think it was like 4 different servers. I forget who, something like 4 different servers and joined together. So that's the reason for that. And then as far as meeting information showing the city and state, that's probably just how the your configuration is set up to display the meetings. Actually, Adam may be better at answering this. He's pretty knowledgeable at Crouton. Adam, do you know if the default Crouton template shows the city and state with a virtual meeting?
Yeah, my name's Adam. I'm an addict, and yeah, the Crouton has 2 user configurable templates for displaying the information that shows up in the second and third column in that display table. And by default, the display will show the physical address and the city and state for meetings that used to be in person that are now virtual, like the virtual meeting that's replacing an in-person meeting. That's just the default code. There is a way to customize that code to not do that. I've actually done that for Connecticut. I'd be happy to share my code, that code that we used with anybody who wants it, or even to help you, customize your code to show exactly what you want to. I think I worked with Lucy at one point, and I know I worked with Sherry from Almost Heaven area, and to try to, get it to display only what they wanted to show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
You're welcome.
I have
You know,
another
actually-
question.
Sure.
I have another question, Patrick.
Yeah, let's
When-
do it.
When you showed the BMLT on the zone, it had a section where it said text, text the information to me, meeting online, text, click to search or near me. Is there a way to get that on the local on the local
Yes.
BMLTs? Yes.
Yeah, yes, and Adam will be happy to help you with that. No, there is a way. It's just a different short code setting. I'm happy to help too. Honestly, though, Adam knows way more about it than I do, because he has played with it a lot. But I'm happy to help as well. It's just a matter of just how you set up the short code on the plugin.
Thank you for all your help. And Adam, I'll take your information when you're ready. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you bringing up that city state thing for virtual only meetings. It could be something that may be considered for to change that default setting. The one thing is that information is kind of crucial to have in the BMLT, because eventually the BMLT will track time zones. And so in order to properly figure out someone's time zone, you need that information, at least a zip code or city or state or something, to properly figure out a time zone. So,
Okay. Thank you.
all right, moving on. What is YAP? So YAP, what does YAP stand for? Doesn't really stand for anything, but it falls for nothing. It is a lets you manage your NA phone lines. It was written again by addicts for addicts. It was actually originally written by Danny G and myself. I worked on a lot, and I was the first one to actually use it for an actual NA service body. But basically, you can replace your existing phone line, whether that be on Grasshopper or phone.com or whatever it may be. You can use YAP for people to call in and find meeting information by entering in either their zip code or their city or state, or you could text the number, your zip code or city and state, and it'll return the meeting information back. Or you can also use it as for routing calls to volunteers. So I can call in and talk to a live addict. Yep, phone-based meeting search, text the phone, call in. Yeah, so in the Southeastern Zone form, we have an instance of YAP set up that a bunch of the regions use and areas. And Carolina has their own statewide number. Carolina region, North Carolina region has their own statewide number. I don't know what Georgia. Yeah, Georgia does. I mean, I'm thinking of who's using. I know Florida. I don't know if Florida's fully migrated, but they're definitely in the works of fully migrating to using YAP. And so it's great because you can call you can have a statewide number. Like the thing is like professionals and addicts and stuff, they don't, especially newcomers, they don't like care. They don't know what, a service body is, what South Coastal, like they just want to find a meeting or find someone to talk to. So if you have a statewide number, you give out that statewide number and you can call that number, you enter in your location, and then it can automatically route you to a volunteer closest to their location. And I can do a little demo of the YAP administration. So yeah, a phone line PR person or phone line coordinator can go in and they can add volunteers, they can update volunteers. So I can go and select my service body. I can add volunteers, and I can say when they should be assigned. So this person was assigned 24/7, so they're on call all the time. You can assign them to only certain days, certain times. You can create groups of volunteers. And I can view all my service bodies and what their phone numbers are. There are so many different ways to configure YAP. You can have the helpline routing, different routing features, the different call strategies. You can have it randomly cycle through volunteers. You can have it linear go through volunteers. You can have it call all the volunteers at once, and then whoever gets it first. Otherwise, it will go to voicemail. You can change your voicemail greetings, your recorded greeting. You can add custom music on hold. And then there's a voicemail. You can log in, you can view your voicemail, play and delete voicemails. It will also generally, depending on how you have it set up, it will, if someone leaves a voicemail, it'll text a volunteer the link to that voicemail so they can see it, or it could go just to the phone line coordinator. There's also reporting. So you can go in and you can see Cape Cod area, small area. They don't get a lot of calls. Martha's Vineyard's even less. But you can go and you can see, you know, who's called, who they called, and such, which volunteer picked up, how long the call was, and then you can also see information like meeting information, like see who's calling, looking for meetings. There's also a function you can get the just for today. It will text you the just for today back, or it'll say the just for today over the phone. Also go and view your schedule. So Harold's just on 7 or 11. Martha's Vineyard. So we got Bill, Willie, and Amanda holding it down 24/7. That's the basics of the YAP administration. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I have a comment. So we found that like we were paying more than we wanted to pay. And so you can like, yeah, you can tell it how many, because it's each one of the links to the meeting is another text message. And so like it charges you, not much, but it charges by the text messages. Twilio does, which is what YAP uses. So, I mean, you can change how many meetings information it's sending out, but you can also get it to send the link, just like one link that lists the meetings in one link, so you're getting charged for one text message. I mean, it's kind of nice to look at all the meetings, but if you're concerned about like how much money it's racking up, like you can just have it to send like the one link, which has all the meetings in it when you click it. Anyway.
Where's that option at?
Huh?
Where's that option at?
Well, it's just like, if you set it in the config file, like you can tell it, I mean, they may know exactly what you tell it. I mean, I changed ours not long ago because it was like I gave our number out at some conventions I was at, spoke at, and so like we were paying more again, and so I went back in and changed it just to send the one link. So it's in the config file.
Yeah, I think there's like
we do ours.
include map link or yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of settings in. There's documentation on BMLT.app. I'm actually working on updating the documentation to be a little bit more just to be different, I'm going to say, because there's nothing friendly about really going through the docs at this time. Unfortunately, it's just there's a lot of different ways to customize how to use YAP, but there's also a lot of people out there willing to help you. So like, there's no need to be overwhelmed about the process if you're thinking about migrating, because on the BMLT Facebook group, in the BMLT community, there's like a lot of us, and we're pretty willing to to help or to put on like a workshop for your service body or something, just to show.
I have a question. So I usually update my config file because I thought that was the way we were supposed to do it. I log into our web host, I log into like the files where you can see all your files in your control panel, and I find the config file and I click edit. I've never like edited the config file the way you're just showing it.
Yeah, and so this falls right back to what I was talking about. There's so many different ways you can configure. And the reason you do it like that is because of how your server's set up, which is totally fine. We do it this way because we're on like a zonal server. And so if you set something in the config file on the server, it sets it server wide. And so then you'll then need to go and override those settings. So for the SCZF server, we keep our config file as bland as possible so that people configure it on their own without having to explicitly set configuration overrides. So yeah, there's 3 different ways you can change a configuration. You can change it on the server, you can change it as a Twilio hook as a query string parameter, or you can set it in the admin UI as I had showed you. So
All the areas set up like you do. Like I just put like the option to, I put like each of our service bodies, we have the helpline number for the areas. And so, and like we put it in our config file, if somebody like is calling from that vicinity, then it's gonna ring that service body. Like, I mean, I just don't ever, I mean, this is convenient, but I've never used this like what you're showing.
yeah, and that's totally fine. You're not doing anything wrong. Trust me. Like it can be used so many different ways. So like if you don't need to do this, like some people never have any need, especially if you're not doing volunteer routing, then you literally like basically you have no need to ever really log into this unless you want to pull through logs. And I think I saw Jay asked about wanting to see call data. So in full transparency, the reporting in YAP could certainly use some help. It's not the most friendly thing to go through, but it's better than nothing. And so like if I wanted to go through, I could go through here and manually tally, but there's also, you can dump a spreadsheet of the data and or a CSV of just the call records. And then I could kind of go through and see the information. But the way the logs kind of are, if you really want to get fine-tuned data, there's just going to be some manual tallying involved. If you just want to know the duration of all your calls in a specific time, that's easy to figure out if you want to. But if you want to know like what volunteers aren't picking up the helpline that are being called and things like that, it's just, you just gotta go through, like I can go through right here. This person called in from Austin. They dialed, the phone line then dialed this volunteer. The caller hung up, the volunteer then answered, but the caller hung up. All right, so let me look through a longer one. This one, Sagamore Beach off Cape Cod. They called in. They're waiting for a volunteer. The volunteer dialed, and I actually don't see the pickup. Usually there'll be information on the pickup. Yeah, see, that's not helpful.
Okay, so it's not just our area struggling with trying to just get basic information on who
No.
called,
No,
who
it's not.
answered, and who didn't answer.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's a good one. Volunteer searched, dialed, waiting for volunteer. They dialed this volunteer. The volunteer answered at like this time. they were connected to the caller, and then for about 10 minutes, they had a conversation before the caller and the volunteer hung up.
All right.
And different versions of Yap handled this information better. And at certain times, there have been bugs that this information didn't display like you would think it would. This is the current version of Yap, which the SCCF is not on. We are going to be upgrading it probably within the next couple of weeks. 4.0 is, which was, yeah, 4.0, which is pretty new. We, you know, the SCCF server is used by a lot of service bodies. So Jonathan and I wanted to do it during a time in which we could be available to put out any fires if there are any. And so we've
So
got both.
When will this version of Yap be available to Alabama, Northwest Florida?
Soon. Yeah. So Jonathan and I have been crazy with work, and he actually hit me up a week ago and was like, we need to update the server. I'm done with this big push at work and let's do it. And I'm like, we got this symposium coming up. Let's put it back to after that. So, but I think we were planning on doing it on like a Sunday or something, and then just being available Monday if anything breaks. But I'll hit him up. You can hit him up. We'll all hit him up. We'll get it done.
All right.
We wanted other people's sites to break before ours broke is what it was, you know, so. But yeah, yeah. So that's that. Yeah, PDF meeting schedules is a WordPress plugin that lets you generate meeting lists on the fly from the meeting information. That's just a WordPress plugin. You can configure that a ton of different ways. And so this is my area's meeting list. I can click this link here. Now it's pulling the information from the SCCF server and generating this PDF schedule. And Adam recognizes the schedule because I think he printed it out on his printer the other day. And then he said it printed just fine. So yeah, and you can configure this, yeah, like I said, many different ways. This is a trifold, has all our meeting information. Even has some Zoom IDs and stuff here. Kind of weird to put that information, but you can you can make it do whatever you want. Another good thing about this is, for instance, in my area, when I was the PR chair, I emailed every single facility, H&I facility in the area, like detoxes, whatever, and I gave them this link. And I said, if you need meeting schedules, use this link and print them out. And then, you know, we would send meeting schedules, but then they would call us and, like, you know, it was just easier to just say, hey, you know, you guys have a printer, here you go. And then they're always up to date. You know, we send them meeting schedules once a quarter or something, and then, you know, they have all this out of date data. So that's that. I'm not going to show you the interface, but it's a WordPress plugin. It's called Bread. A lot of different ways to configure it. And then there's also a mobile app. It's called BMLT Search, and it's available for Android and iOS. And it was actually just updated recently. And it's connected to Tomato, to all of the root servers. I don't know, like 43% of all the NA meetings are in there or something. And actually, I'm going to show you one other thing before we jump to a couple other questions. No. Tally. Yeah, there's a tally. So right now there's 31,875 meetings that are using the BMLT, which is 40% of the known 76,000 meetings. And yeah, yep. There's also SDLE.org, which you can enter in a location, and from that location, it'll tell you the nearest service body. That's kind of cool. But Huntsville.
I have a couple of hands up, Patrick.
Yeah, let's do that.
You know, Maud's got her hand up for a while. Oh, we got to unmute Maud. I got it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, hi. Yeah, Patrick, back on the back to the YAP. You had said that we can change the greetings, but we've never been able to figure out how. One of the things we would like to have is, if this is a medical emergency, please dial 911. But we don't know how. We haven't been able to figure that out. The second thing, so I'll ask both of them real quick and then you can answer. The second thing is, you've also said that we can get the just for today, but that doesn't seem to be available on our system yet.
Yeah, it should be. If you text your number JFT, it should respond with yeah, maybe the settings turned off. It should respond with it. It could be turned off. I would reach out. One, you need to create the recording. You need to record like a MP3 or whatever, or have someone record it, and then send it to the phone line coordinator. And from there, they can add it to the server to be able to update those settings or walk you through how to do that.
Are you not the phone line coordinator? No, you're not. Who would be? Do you know who the phone line coordinator would be?
Was it Lori?
Oh, Lori? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, because she said she didn't know how either, but okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
We'll get back
I mean,
to you.
I can help with it.
Okay.
Usually when she has issues, she's pretty good. She usually reaches out to me, asks questions, but I can help you with that.
Thanks. We'll get to you. Thank you, Patrick.
No problem. And Jay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Regarding the paper, the downloaded printable schedule, I guess we didn't know that it's operable. I think the last time we used it was when we started switching to the virtual meetings, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic. So I think we're just lagging behind. So it is usable for the Sun City area, right? If we download it, there's no conflict of like the physical meeting versus the virtual for the printable. I think there was a bread plugin issue a year ago.
Actually, this is another thing that Adam would probably be good to answer.
I have the greatest questions, though.
I think he just, I think his question is about, in regards to using bread with virtual meetings, like, I guess, what would you recommend or practice, or is that something?
Personally, we found, well, I think it also varies on the size of the service body you're going to make a list for. We have 9 areas in Connecticut. None of them are too huge, and especially with the pandemic. So what we chose to do was, there's an option to have an additional list on your printed meeting lists. So you have your regular one and then your additional list. And when you make an additional list, you can choose what types of meetings to put in that additional list. And one of the options is virtual meetings. So we chose to do that. So we've got all of the in-person meetings are listed Sunday through Saturday. And then we have an additional list, which is just, you know, the heading is virtual meetings. And then we list all those. The nice thing was you're able to create a different template for what information gets displayed for the additional list. So obviously, because they're all virtual meetings, we're not displaying any physical location information in that section. And we are displaying a QR code, which is really, really nice. Let me see if I can actually quickly get one.
Adam, that's wonderful information. I guess we'll just have to look for that and,
Yeah, here, I'll
try
show
it
you
out.
really. The other option is, I know Alan, who's one of the BMLT developers, lives up in Seattle area. He wrote a plugin to Bread. So now there's plugins to plugins, right? Or add-ons or whatever. And what it does is it takes the information, if it sees that it's a virtual meeting, it won't print the URL. It'll basically remove the URL and put currently meets virtually, and then it'll still list the other information. But here, I can show you this really quickly. Oh, Patrick, I'm going to stop your sharing for a
Oh,
minute.
yeah, that's fine.
And so this is like one of our area meeting lists. So you can, again, it's not a lot of meetings. You can see we have Sunday through Saturday. We have the information that displays, the location and et cetera, et cetera. Then we have the virtual meetings over here. And again, we only printed what's the field in the BMLT is the virtual meeting additional info. We only printed that as well. And then put a QR code there, so that, people, if they have nobody wants to try to read a paper list and start typing https://us.zoom. Or whatever. I mean, nobody wants to do that. So we put a QR code and we found that to work really well for us. I don't know if I could find Alan's thing really quickly. But it works too. Oh, by the way, the method that Alan had come up with is documented in one of the blog posts on bmlt.app. So if you went to bmlt.app and looked for the blog post, you can find it there.
Okay, so from your meeting schedule, because you don't have a lot of meetings, both of them are together, but our area has 45 meetings, which fills both sides. So we will have the option when someone goes to our website to print the physical location and then another option for virtual meetings printed by themselves.
You certainly could do two separate meeting lists. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bread, allows you to save multiple configurations. So I'll actually share this one really quickly with you. This, by the way, is a larger area. So it does take up, well, maybe it's not that large. Hold on a second. We have one that goes to 4 pages. Maybe it's the New Haven area one here. So they have much more meetings. And yeah, so here's all of the in-person meetings. And then we go to a second page, which has all the virtual meetings. It even bleeds over into a third page. So it's still on the one meeting list. It's just more pages. But again, you'll see up in my URL, this is actually current meeting list 10. The other one I had done is actually 9. So basically, and here is our page. We have all these different meeting lists. So all of these, if you hover over them, you'll see this one's 17, this one's 16, 15, et cetera, as I go through the list. So you can have multiple configurations with Bread. You only have to have one.
Okay, so we can get rid of our Word documents because we went back the old-fashioned way, just keeping them separate as we make changes. Oh, thank goodness, because once this printable schedule came out, compiled, it's like, hallelujah, we can get rid of all the handwork,
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lucy?
So, anyway, Adam I really like the 2 lists on one with the virtual, have the QR codes, like we may have to look into that. But we have all of ours on one, and if you could, like you kind of showed it because you had some of the type in red. We you got the virtual meetings highlighted in yellow, so they stand out. And, you know, you don't have to look through, look through the list, and, they wear the hybrid or, virtual meeting ID, so that you kind of did that with your red text, but like you can also highlight and stuff, which is kind of cool.
So I kind of missed what the QR code. QR code is what's there about you.
Like you take a picture of it and it like will give you that,
I know, but I'm saying, what do you get?
you get the Zoom, it opens
Oh,
up.
okay, give you the, okay.
It opens the Zoom meeting.
It opens the
Whatever the
meeting. Oh,
meeting
that's what I
is.
was.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. You don't have to have that long.
Let's do that.
I like that.
Yeah, so,
I think we can get it on 2 pages, I don't know if it's 3 pages.
I have a question.
Yep.
This is David. So your code bases are on GitHub. Is there any
Yep.
opportunity or need to be like, do you have bugs? Like, would I be able to like help contribute or anything like that?
Yeah. Yes, yes, you would. Let me see. Can I share my screen again?
That was the
I mean-
perfect question.
I mean, I guess I could just find out by going to the GitHub and like looking at the project
Yeah.
that you have there.
Can you see this? Is it? Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
git.com/BMLT-enabled. And so all of the main code base is there. But yeah, you can just email us to get involved. Like the most, the YAP is pinned up here, BMLT, root server, crouton, tomato, and bread, which are kind of like some of the core stuff. But I mean, as you can see, there's like 87 different repositories, some of them like in various places, or some are archived. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. Like you can really get in the weeds but yeah. Yeah, is there bugs? Yes, there are many bugs. Do we have a need for help? Yes, please, so.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, we have a Slack. But like I said, I would email help@bmlt.app, be like, hey, I know things about the codes. I wish to get involved. And then we'll respond and invite you to the Slack and say, please don't run away. We need your help.
Might
Okay, yeah.
even be invited to the chicken spot.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing. We're like a open source community of NA peeps, It's like I didn't know this was an option for NA service. It's like I got clean and then I just kind of fell into it, met the right peeps, and then I've made this has like been my niche in service. Like I am on the BMLT team. And I'm one of the core maintainers of a bunch of the various stuff that we do. So yeah, it's been a journey. Journey continues as well. Is there anything else? Anybody have any other questions?
I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me. This is
Yep.
Jay. I know Danny and I talked one point about trying to come up with an RSS feed aggregator for calendar events. It's something that I don't know if anybody really has had time to really work on something like that, given what's happened in the past couple of years. But have you heard anything?
Yeah, so somewhere we have a list of like projects, like if we could quit our job and do this full time, which like Jonathan, Danny, and myself, who are probably the largest contributors, and then we have, I mean, there's plenty of others, people who contribute, but we've said it many times, man. Like if we got rich, we'd quit and we'd do this full time, and it would be amazing. But we need more people with skills to get involved, because that's something that I've mangled together, like a plugin that does some stuff for like meeting updates. And a lot of people want a form plugin where you can just submit something and you know, get easy meeting updates. And it just comes down to time, you know. Would I like to help do an RSS feed aggregation of like NA events? You damn right I would. Do I have the time? No, I don't. You know, so so
How's being
it's on the list. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not high on the list. But it is on the list of things that we would like to do, you know, and just like the root server, if you notice the UI is a little out of date, it's not very mobile friendly. Like that's another top thing that we want to do is totally rewrite the BMLT. Yeah, it just comes down to manpower and time or woman power. You know, it's like everywhere else, you know, it's like you got a couple people doing all the work and hopefully someone else steps up and gets involved.
We've got one here.
That's right.
You'll be burned out next year. You'll be like,
Yep.
Are you sleeping? Are you prioritizing sleep at all? Is that something that's happening?
I do not. I don't know, 4.5 hours is what I average.
Tough.
how's Beam coming along?
That's right. You shut your mouth.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, and that's another thing is, you know, we'll often, Danny or someone will create like a concept project, you know, in hopes that, you know, other people get involved and stuff. And there are there's various concept projects we've had that, you know, we'd like to further develop on, but it's important that we maintain the core products that we have and not move focus. You know, I don't know. Maybe I could try to get Danny fired or something, and then he'd have to focus on his stuff for a while. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Not
Gotta
if
be
motion two
creative.
failed.
Yeah, it's creative solution problem solving. Any other questions?
You guys are rock stars, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's it. I'm grateful to be able to be here. I'm sorry I wasn't there in person. I'm paying for a hotel room there right now, if that means anything. But yeah, I miss you all, and I'm glad so many people I know showed up. I love you, and yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
My pleasure. I wish I was there as well.
Yeah, Adam, thank you so much. I literally never looked at the chat once, and I'm meeting people. I didn't even realize you're co-host till the end, and I'm like, oh, someone's been doing something. I'm so glad they're here. So I really appreciate the help and all your
It worked
knowledge
out well.
of all the knowledge of Crouton and Brad. Before this started, I was like, I hope someone shows up from like the BMLT community, like that I can lean on. So,
Well, you know how I get with Crouton.
yeah, no, I know. Anytime, like you know, you can